Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Serial Recap with us here on Patreon. We're on episode 2 now. We're getting into the thick of this and we're beginning to learn more who Adnan and the cast of characters, who they are as people, you know? This is a very short episode, so it's 28 minutes. Again, you can go over to serialpodcast.org and listen, or you can listen to season 1 on Spotify, where you listen to us.
Yeah.
And let's dive in. Any initial thoughts?
We'll get into undisclosed. We will figure out how to incorporate that into what we're doing.
Yes, we have listened to Undisclosed, guys.
We just said we would go cover Serial, but we'll figure out a way to like incorporate everything.
We talked about it on Jade and XD when it first came out.
So I love the suggestions. It's just A, we're on episode 2, and B, we gonna get to it. We gonna get to it.
All right. So,
do you have any initial thoughts?
I will say this was I don't want to call it filler, but it is necessary because it does set up some things that happen later.
Yeah.
It also further affirms my theory of what happened. That my new thought. So, this episode was about their relationship dynamic. Hae Min Lee and Adnan Syed. It was it took me to a place back in high school, like high school crushes and boyfriends and la-da-da, whoop-de-woo. And their relationship is bookended by like high school dances, which is such a teenage thing. Like,
yes.
Girl, we got together at the Junior Prom, or now that nigga dumped me at homecoming. Like, fuck that nigga. Like, it, you know.
I got drunk in the gym.
Momentous occasions.
Whatever, you know, all of that.
Yeah. Pregnancy scare, Sadie Hawkins, all that.
Yeah.
So.
Prom night, dumpster baby, everything. So.
Right, all of that.
Everything.
I chuckled because I forgot that Casey and JoJo's All My Life is in this.
When I tell you I get gold, nigga, I was like,
yeah, just like we're doing Ross Matthews, like,
it's like, and
that was Hae Min Lee's jam.
Okay, which also affirmed the fact that she had many colored friends.
Well, I don't know.
I'm kidding, obviously.
Well, I know she did have black friends, but the friends that we do hear from in this episode, I'm just gonna say now, there's some hater ass bitches, but I understand
Aisha?
why they are this way. Yeah, I understand why they are this way because they're very protective of their friend.
Yes.
But also, I'm like, y'all didn't like him because she was getting dick on the low and anyway.
Yeah.
So a lot of this episode, this is Sarah reading her diary, which wasn't like, you know, it was admitted to evidence. So anything that's admissible to evidence is public.
Yes.
So, you know, she was reading from it. And so Hae was sprung, okay?
Boots.
Mama wanted to drink Adnan's bath water and shit, like...
Sometimes.
Well, yeah. But, you know, teens are fickle. They go through the motion. And so Sarah interviews Hae's best friend from high school. And they talk about how much they'd have to sneak around. Now, I did laugh because I was like, oh, they was fucking. Because when they, like, how do teenagers get hotel rooms and shit like that?
Wait, I was like, they brought out how they were all, like, this whole group of friends has been together in school since elementary school because it was a magnet program. And so they ended up at this school in this magnet program, which I think is kind of important to add, because of how tight-knit they were, because of them growing up and going to school together all those years. But when I tell you that rumor about how the band geeks and the science nerds and the this and the that be fucking, nigga, they be fucking. I was like, oh, yeah, like you said, how y'all get to the hotels and things? I'm trying to think when I started going to hotels. Well, I wasn't fucking in high school.
It's also Baltimore, so I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. But I wasn't.
They probably went to
I
like
wasn't
one of
fucking
those.
in high school.
Oh, well, girl. I mean, you figure it out where you do it where you can. There's cars. There's my parents aren't gonna be home until 5 o'clock. There's bleachers.
Yeah.
You gotta do what you can.
Yeah, I know a lot of people was fucking in high school.
Yeah.
A lot of people. So they had her diary. The very first entry that she has in her diary is April 1st, 1998. And the very last one is actually the day before she went missing. Which was...
Sorry. Ooh, sorry.
It's all right.
Okay. We're going to keep this rolling.
That's
We're going to keep moving.
We'll just act like you
That's
tripped
so
on the runway.
You all can see my civil rights. Yes, I'm recording in my bedroom. Hold on, I have to get this right. Oh my gosh, in my closet, in my project. Okay. I'm just like Bob and shit.
You are.
Okay.
And Baudet.
Okay. I am. Okay. Oof. Whew. I'm really just like Esther Roll.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I'm back.
Okay.
Hi.
So the very last entry was the day before she went missing. You all right over there, Addie?
Perfect.
Now, they talk about 2 school dances, okay? The first dance was the Junior Prom, and this is where Adnan asked Hae, this is kind of like the start of them, he asked Hae to the prom, low-key on some, like, dare kind of situation, not necessarily
just like she's all that.
Right, exactly. Like, we're gonna get us some dates. When you ask, I dare you ask that girl, I dare you ask that girl. And that's kind of where the start of them began. So that's where Hae starts talking about falling in love to Casey and JoJo's All My Life. And they have their first kiss at the dance, even though neither one of them weren't allowed to date technically, and they weren't supposed to do that teenage shit like we talked about before. But also, these are the kind of things that the state used against Adnan in his case. So we're introduced to Aisha Pittman, which is Hae's best friend at the time. And like you said, she talks about their relationship. She's like, it started with love notes, it progressed into something else, but it was a big secret that neither one of their families knew about because both of them came from strict households. Hae's might not have necessarily been strict because of religious reasons, but still was like, you need to focus on your work and we ain't with the shits over here. So that's where they didn't have to worry about one of them being like, oh, well, let me come over to your house for dinner. Both of them was just living in secret together.
Right. Like, they had, like, a system how they call each other. Mm-hmm. Like, they both had pagers, so one would page someone in order to call, like, popcorn, which the kids won't even know what that is, where you call to see what time it is. And then they'd do it so to be on the phone and wait for the other person to call to beep in so the phone didn't ring.
Call waiting, baby! I remember when they introduced call waiting and we were hype boots.
Me too. I remember. Do you remember your family's long distance plan carrier?
No.
I remember we had Sprint. Because my mother used to complain about them, about the long distance carrier. She was like, I can't do MCI, but I definitely don't want Sprint either. And I think we ended up getting like Pacific Bell.
I remember... Well, I remember more the phones than the phone companies. Like, I remember, you had your standard house phone, and then they start coming out with them big joints with the screen. And that's when, like, caller ID was introduced. And let me tell you something, nigga. We thought we was doing something with that fucking phone. when caller ID would show up. I remember when call waiting came, and then my father came home with these, what was the brand? Was it Sonos? Maybe it was Sonos. It was these futuristic looking cordless phones. And
Sonyo.
Maybe it was Sonyo. All I know is they look like little remote controls. They were sleek, some futuristic science looking fucking cordless phones. And he came home with them shits, and my mother was like, why? He was like, because they do this and this, and we can put this one in this room. And everybody was hype, and then my sister would take one to the room. She thought she had her own phone, even though it was just, yes, the house phone era. This brought back a lot of good memories.
Yeah, the house phone, just walking around cordless. My grandmother didn't believe in cordless phones, so she would just get a really long phone cord and just, you know, walk back and forth around the house. It's like a 100-foot cord in our kitchen.
Yep.
And she's just dragging a phone all around the house.
Or back in the day,
don't trip on my cord, I'm on the phone.
Your parents had to call you to come to the phone when somebody called for you. You literally, you had to run through, and so you can come and get the phone call. Oh. I
hurry up, this long distance.
I miss house phone culture. Like, I know cell phone culture is convenient, but I miss house phone culture.
Look at it this way. Cell phones are the bane of my existence nowadays. And I don't know if it's because I'm getting older. It's absolutely because I'm getting older. I have found myself... First of all, I know I'm getting older because I play Angry Birds now. So
I can't wait till you get the Candy Crush, nigga.
Oh, listen, I am binging and button up this motherfucker, okay? But yeah, I'm like less social media, more games on my phone. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Keep it busy.
Like even technology, like talking ooh, it's too bad.
Download Best Fiends. I hate texting actually. That's why I'll just call. You know, I'll call. I'm like, this will take us 30 seconds to hammer out. I do not want to text back and forth. I just do not prefer it. The only time I will really text you something like a message is if it is at an hour where I believe somebody to be asleep.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, they had a little almost system, and it was cute. You know, you gotta do what you gotta do. Having sneaky leaks or whatever. You know, the state used all of this against him.
Yeah, because they started sneaking even more. Aisha said it started off really innocent, where they would like you said, they would talk on the phone, and then it graduated to like meeting up at the movies or some shit like that, and then it graduated into they would be having girls' nights at Aisha's house, which made me wonder how lenient her parents was, because then Adnan would show his ass up to the house for Hae. So, and, you know, she's like, and then it just got to be like, uh-oh, here he comes again, you know, intruding on our girls' days at the amusement park or girls' nights at my house, which the state tried to use to paint Adnan as this imbalanced teenager who was obsessive. And then used as, you know, as the plot to kill his girlfriend.
Right. And, you know, Adnan wasn't religious. And this is something that a lot of people are. He was culturally Muslim. Just like a lot of people are culturally Christian. Like, most black people, I would father myself to say I'm culturally Christian Baptist, because that's what I grew up as, is what I know. It's what, you know, the values is rooted in. But, you know, I'm like, girl, a lot of the Bible looks like Harry Potter. So I'm like, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of, you know, I'm not, and I'm also, you know, I understand, you know, Bible thumpers, they're just going to hell as people who they say they're going to hell. So, you know, I get it. So, but he was just like, nah, people making it out to seem like I was at war with being a Muslim. He was like, no, nigga, I was at war with my hormones.
Right. And the other thing to it, yes, he was, and we will get into that. But the other thing too was that they could not paint Hae to be this victim, or be this like, not victim, this docile, you know, like soft kind of human. They said she was strong. She was strong-willed. She had her own personality. When they would argue, even in her diary, it was more for like tit-for-tat shit. Like, she was ready to go to war with this nigga when it was time to fight, because she had a strong personality. So nothing all of this was said to be from Sarah, just to show that Adnan was not possessive and like out of control, that, you know, all the memories of him and all their memories of them together were pretty standard teenage memories.
Right. And most of this episode, I was kind of like, they're just teens, guys. Like, they're just teenagers. And the more and more I hear it, the less and less I feel that Adnan has the propensity to do any of these things you're accusing him of.
Maybe. Not
saying that he's completely absolved. Well, I think it's, but
I don't think he did it. But I think at this point in my life, I'm putting nothing past nobody.
It is white. I'll say it is white. Dawn from Lens Crafters did it. They didn't check his DNA. They didn't check under his fingernails. If you go look at shit, they didn't check anything. It was white Dawn. He didn't like the fact that when we'll get to that.
Somebody else said to us that it was a serial killer in the area at the time, because at the same time, somebody else's body was found like within the same week or a day or something, I can't remember, as Hae's. And so it could have been the serial killer, but because they never caught the serial killer, they didn't want it to look bad that they didn't have anybody and they had 2 fucking murders. So that could also be
it. Exactly. I know that nigga didn't do it.
But why would Jay say that he helped bury the body? I do think that the police coerced this nigga because he has lying nigga cadence. But why would he say that he helped bury the body?
Because part of me feels that they found something on Jay and they were
that's right. We'll get to it.
That's actually exactly what happened.
That is what happened. You're right. You're actually, that is what happened. Okay. But yes, we'll go into detail for those who don't know it yet.
Yes. Sarah talks to a woman named Shamim, and Shamim happens to be Adnan's mother. Now, if you listen to Undisclosed and if you watch a case against Adnan Syed, you do come across his mother often. Usually it was his father who does all the court proceedings, who we hear from later on in the series. But it was nice to hear from his mother.
Yeah, it was.
And it's important to note his parents, because the state's case is based on this overzealous Islamophobia type of situation deal. You know what I mean? They're devout. They are crazy Muslims and they're capable of doing anything in regards to their religion. Like, what the fuck? Like, white people are so in...
Right. And he was like, nigga, what? I'm a teenager. I'm fucking... He's like, I got over this bitch eventually, got under a couple new ones, and I'm trying to... And did. As we hear. But, he was like, I'm not super guilty about that. Like, I'm not carrying this shit like, oh, I besmirched my family. Like, it wasn't any of that. Again, he might be a sociopath. I don't know, but I don't think he did it.
So when we talked to his mother, we talked to his mother, and she escaped where she was living. And
Peshawar, Pakistan.
Yeah, she explained where, you come from a place where either you married or you're not.
Yeah.
So she was just a traditional Pakistani woman.
Yeah.
She a little wild though with checking her nigga's phone and
she was she took nosy black mother to another level.
Yeah. I was like, but again, foreign parents are crazy and nosy. Everybody who's had foreign parents knows that. Or a very black nigger parent. Like, you know what I mean? Right. Like, what you doing?
Right. And my mother is one of those don't know her boundaries. When she'd be like, I was reading your diary, and she's one of those that will do that. You know what I'm saying? As wrong as it is. But she was never checking the mileage on my car, or she wasn't doing all of that.
Yeah, making sure that he's supposed to be where he was.
But when you hear her, she just sounds like
a sweet woman who I'm sure she makes great, dessert. You know what I mean? She seems like a very sweet woman. Yeah. But she was like, well, my husband and everybody else is a little bit more loose than I am.
She's like, I'm the smother. It is me.
But you know what? that typically is the case, though. Like,
it is.
It's usually the women who are a little bit more strict in the household than the men folk.
But yeah, everybody was loose, and she was like, "Oh, you know, my husband, my son, everybody's doing it, but nope, not me, not in my house, not in this motherfucker. We're not doing that." And so,
okay.
So speaking of which, here comes the homecoming dance, fall of senior year. And Adnan, you know, sneaks and does his thing and gets to the dance, and he goes with his girlfriend Hae, and they're having a blast, having a good time. It actually very much reminded me, I was at a Valentine's dance. I can't remember what dance it was, with my homegirl. And she is, I mean, she was backing it up on this nigga. And we dancing and we having a good time, and she is going in, and all of a sudden her mother shows up, and all of us is like, oof, well, there goes that on that.
Damn.
It was hilarious. But
and you never saw her again.
Oh, no, I did. And she tells the story. It is hilarious. She'd be like, I was backing it up on this nigga, and guess who showed up? But that's exactly what happened.
If I would have told that story, I would have been like, yeah, my friend died, and her mother did. And then what happened? She died, Carol. She died. You know, I'm gonna, because my life isn't all that interesting, I'm just gonna make up, like, just real life stories that would happen. Like, I went to the store today, and, like, I found $5. Really? Yes. You know, give a whole, like, yes, Jules ass, like, Instagram post to people.
Please don't do that. And I will be the one on every single post you put up and be like, he lying! He lying! But Adnan's parents showed up to the dance. And I think the good thing was, I don't think Hae and Adnan were physically together in the space right at that very moment when they came. But I can't tell because on one instance, I think Aisha was the one who said, or somebody said that Hae's mother, Adnan's mother was yelling at Hae. But then on the other side of things, Aisha says that Hae and this other dude held hands and walked out just so she could avoid, like, that. Right. So I was a little confused.
So her hater-ass friends say one thing, and Adnan says differently. Her hater-ass friends were like, oh, his parents were screaming at him. They shut the party down. Hae was so embarrassed that she had to walk out with her white friend Sean. Adnan and his friends were like, that's not what happened. Right. Yes, his parents came, but you know, and they also made it seem like Adnan's parents were trying to talk to Hae Min Lee, and Adnan was like, well, no, they just picked me up. I was like, get in the fucking car. Like, he was like, none of this spectacle that he was like, yes, there's a spectacle because the parents came, sure, but were they like, you know, you, like the way the state described in the you
besmirched our family. I think they were pissed. They showed up pissed. I think they were pissed parents because he was somewhere he didn't have no business being. Like,
right.
I think that was like, pretty much the extent of it.
Yeah, none of this I can see warrants him. If anything, it would be violence against his parents. And I can see where his parents might have been like, especially his mother, being the smother she was probably like, where is the girl? Where is she at or whatever? Like, it might have been something like that, but this whole, like, shutting the whole dance down and this and that. And like, I don't think it was all that. He was just like, because he called his homeboy and was like, nigga, guess what? My parents showed up to the dance and took my ass home. You know, like. Right. Because also, a school wouldn't allow all of that type of carrying on to happen. This ain't One Tree Hill. Exactly, nigga. You know this ain't Dawson's Creek, nigga. Yeah, like, a school administrator would have, or a chaperone would have stepped in, you know, if there was something. Because as a teacher, you would have to. What if this kid is being abused? You know what I mean? I need to know what the fuck is going on, especially if I'm at work. It was the prosecution who said that they were screaming at Hae and doing all that carry on. That's who said that. Exactly. Which is why I'm like, again, all my theory We'll get to White Dog.
We'll get to him. But yeah, he got home. He called his homeboy. He was like, nigga, they picked me up. Your boy got busted. And they LOL'd and kept it pushing. So he's like, everybody saw. It was embarrassing. Like, but it was not this like great shame, you know, on his family or whatever. So now comes where they start bringing in Adnan's cell phone. This is where if things can look sketchy, but also be understandable, right? We don't know. So Adnan bought his cell phone 2 days before Hae went missing.
Right.
The state used that against him, said he got the phone, you know, so that he could set up his plan and make it easy for himself and so forth and so on. Where he says, nigga, I got the phone to talk to girls, and I was tired of my mother eavesdropping on my phone conversations.
And which is valid because I did the exact same thing when I was in high school. I got a Metro PCS phone because you remember at the time it was one flat rate. You didn't have unlimited minutes because back then they charged for texting and you had to wait till after 9 o'clock, after 7. Well, even back then it was after 9.
After 7 came
sometimes
later.
After 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, after 7 came when I was in college.
Right.
But like after 9, sometimes after 10, you're like, ooh, shit.
Call me back at 9 o'clock. Exactly.
You doing a lot of talking. Don't text me.
Call me when my minutes is free, nigga. Like,
I only got 300 texts a month, girl. Relax.
Like, I gotta get on and I had to get on the internet to send text messages. Like, you had to get on the internet to say.
That was Sprint.
Yeah. that was Sprint, baby. That was green screen era, nigga, before the colored phones came in.
That was Sprint. I had Singular, and we had my little Nokia 5190. And I had the T9 texting thing.
I had a Samsung first. It was just a Samsung silver flip phone. I had a pager, and then when I graduated to a cell phone, I had just a standard silver flip, green screen, and you had to slide the phone into the charger, and it charged like that. And that was the first phone I had. And then my first camera phone, you had your phone, and then you had your camera, and you would have this little cord, and the camera was separate.
Oh, I remember those.
And I had to take pictures with the little camera.
That is so wild. My first phone was a 5190 in 2001. I'll never forget the day. I got it May 25th, 2001. Because that was Cardinal Day at high school. It was like field day. And then my first camera phone, I had a Sony Ericsson. Yeah,
I never had
a Sony Ericsson. It was strange. I didn't get that until 04.
I had that camera phone. Then I graduated up to an actual camera. So I had two homeboys. They were cousins, and they both worked at Sprint. So one of them, I didn't pay for a phone until I started getting iPhones. Like the whole BlackBerry, Samsung, Sanyo, like that whole era, I did not pay for phones. They always got my phones. So I had that when Samsung came out with them two colors with Sprint. They had the navy blue one and they had the silver one. I had those. I had this big face Samsung for a little while. That's when Usher's Confessions came out. That was ugly. Damn, this is nostalgic. Very nostalgic.
Yeah. 99. I had a pager in 99.
I had a pager in 99 too.
Understood.
Yeah. I had a pager too. So he bought his cell phone 2 days before, or remember. The other thing that the state used against him was the fact that he was an EMT. I didn't know you could be a fucking EMT in high school, but anyway. I'm like, isn't that like a whole paramedic? Or are you all saying that this nigga took fucking resuscitation class. Like, which one is it? I'm very confused here. But I guess he was an EMT because the state used that against him, and then and said, you know, he would have the ability to know how to strangle somebody and how to resuscitate them if need be. And he was like, nigga, I had a job so I can make money, and because I liked old people.
Yeah.
So, you know, and then they said there was a teacher who said that Adnan had this great dark side, right? He had this dark side. That's what the state said. That's how they presented it. When they had the conversation with the teacher, she was like, yeah, all of my students are angsty and negative, and they don't see the positive in anything, and they're all stupid. It's like, they're all like that.
They're teenagers.
Right. She was like, I don't see any difference in him than the rest of these little dark, stupid motherfuckers who live very cushy, lush lives and act like the whole world is falling beneath them. Like, she's like, it was no different than anybody else in any other teenager in my class.
Right. So what threw me off is them talking to his teachers, right? I guess the state was trying to pull like something out of nothing. And it's like a lot of this case is words put into other people's mouths and also changing certain words around to fit.
Because there was no evidence. They were building the flimsiest fucking case that they could and making it as solid as they could and dramatic for the sake of the fact that they did not have a single ounce of evidence. Hae didn't even write about homecoming in her diary. She literally, like, all those entries that they had and used, she didn't even write about homecoming. But her friend Aisha remembered it. And she was like, oh yeah, it wasn't fun. Yeah. She was like, it wasn't fun. You know, she felt really like bad and guilty, and she didn't want to be in that type of relationship. She was like, I don't need this type of shit. I don't need nobody coming up in here looking for me, and I don't need to be pretending to have to walk out of a dance with somebody and da-da-da-da-da. So they broke up after that. And again, they don't even have Hae's account because Hae, she didn't write about it. So, on top of that, they reunited a month later. Same makeup to break up high school shit that always goes down, you know. And that's where White Dawn comes in. They reunited. They got back together. She's all in love with Adnan again. And then 3 days after they reunited, your girl comes through and she's like, oh, skirt, I feel bad because I'm lusting for this white king named Don with his blue eyes and his pale hair.
That I met in the lunch break room at LensCrafters. So, like, first of all, were they all 18? Because I'm like, how do you get a job at... Oh, yeah, not Don. Don was old.
Yeah, Don was grown.
Don was 23 or 22, right?
Too grown to be dating a high schooler.
But I'm like, how did these kids get to work at LensCrafters? Because you have to be at least 18, I believe.
No, you don't.
At LensCrafters?
Probably to probably administer like eye tests and things like that. But I think probably to work the counter and sell frames is no different than retail.
No, because you take optical measurements and stuff.
Let me see.
Like, and then you have to get drug tested. So I'm like, how does that work?
I mean, they get drug tested.
Because it's like, well, yeah, but I'm like, can you I guess with parental permission. But I'm just trying to figure out, like, how would somebody that young...
I think she was 18. Wasn't Hae 18 when she died? Hold on.
I don't remember. That also explains why Adnan is tried as an adult.
Yeah, Hae was 18 when she died. That's why it was so new. She just turned 18 and got herself a job.
Got it.
That's what it was.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I'm like... I know LensCrafters is fake retail, but it's like you're like a paraprofessional type of person because you have to learn how to read scripts and shit.
So Hae Hae's birthday was October 1980. She was 18 when she disappeared, January 13th. So she had been 18 since the previous October. So she probably somewhere in there, you got holidays coming up and you got holiday break and all this and that. She probably, and so she didn't have like practice. Remember, she was, she didn't have to pick up little cousins, so she probably got a job.
So, because her birthday was after September 30th, she graduated a year later.
Exactly.
Or she was supposed to graduate a year later, which is why she was 18 in junior year of high school. Because
they also, remember, they talk about, even with her liking Don, she still had feelings for Adnan, right? And that December, remember they said that December, she bought him a jacket, an expensive jacket. So Hae had a job and was getting a little coin.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Because I was just like, no, there's no way. And that also again explains why Adnan was tried as an adult.
Right.
But Hae was conflicted between White Dawn and Adnan. She was like, I don't know what to do. I love him. Her hater-ass friend got interviewed about White Dawn. They're like, we went to Fridays. It was really awkward because he was old and we were not. And my boyfriend was 2 years younger. So it was like a boy and a man, like going out to dinner.
Yeah, Aisha's the interesting one. But yeah, because she got...
All of her friends don't like the fact... They didn't like any of the niggas that she was with. Like, they wanted her to be, like, sad. They wanted her to be sad just like them. I already know the type of friends that she had because I see them in my head. I know exactly what they look like. I know exactly what they smell
like.
Why
is he always coming? Why is he always showing up? Why is he always...
Yeah, I know exactly how they laugh. I know exactly how they write. I know one of them writes their eyes with a heart. Like, you know what I mean? Like...
Yeah.
Like,
with them big bubble letters.
I know it. They're like, they laugh like with their mouths really open.
Yeah. They pass a notebook. God. Do kids in high school pass notebooks back and forth? Did you and your friends used to have a notebook and then you write, like notes and shit to each other and you give the notebook and somebody else takes it for the next class and y'all until you got like a whole... I wonder if they probably had one of those too.
I hope the one that we had in high school got destroyed somewhere because
I destroyed
there was some hellacious shit, and because I had it with like a couple friends, like same. Oh, my homegirl Mercedes, it was like a personal journal. We was going through the motions. We thought it was our Moesha journal.
Yeah.
Then it was like another like burn book. Like we was just talking shit.
But I'm a Virgo, and I'm the one who got control of all of them notebooks, and the notebooks was gone.
That makes sense. Yeah, I don't know whatever happened to... I have a couple of like school notes still.
I kept a few, like I think I have the cover to one of them. I remember that box. I was going through a couple of things and I found that Word Up magazine and shit like that or whatever. I kept like, I think I have like the cover of one of our notebooks. But outside of that, I was like, yeah, I don't need all the ins and outs. It's not your business. You didn't hear about me smoking weed in high school. But anyway,
Jay supplied the motive to the police.
Allegedly.
He said to the police that Adnan said to him that he was heartbroken and was going to kill her because she was with White Dawn. And like they talked to his psych teacher. Now they had a psych teacher that both him and Adnan and Hae Min Lee shared. They had the last class together, psychology.
Yeah.
And she was like, he ain't kill nobody.
Yeah.
She was like, he was just heartbroken. She was like, if I knew, if I were to base like my teaching on what the state accused Adnan of, then I would quit teaching because that means everybody's would be capable of killing. Murder.
Yeah. She was like, they were literally, he was a heartbroken kid, frustrated. And she was like, and then on top of that, many of the people that they interviewed, including the hater ass friends, were like, yeah, it was just like, it was a typical teenage heartbreak breakup, but he was never enraged, or he was never like angry or upset, or like to the point where it was like he could kill somebody. Like, nobody said that.
Right. At all. And, you know, he got over it pretty quickly.
Yeah, and got under some new people, or on top of, or whatever.
Well, you know, men don't heal, they hoe. You know what I mean? Again, men do not heal, they hoe. So, that's exactly what Adnan did. He found a bevy of baddies in the DMV area. Some from the community, the mosque, all of that.
They're like, I got bitches in Baltimore, I got maidens in Maryland, nigga, I got Phillies in Philly, nigga. I'm all over the place.
But yeah, he found a whole bunch of new women folk around the DMV and had himself a wang dang doodle, laying it low and spreading it wide.
That's right, honey. And then he also says each time they broke up, because again, high school, teenage, makeup to break up. He said each time that they broke up, he's like, I was never running her down. He's like, I wasn't obsessed with her. I wasn't like, I was doing my thing. And it got to the point where, because she even talks about in her diary that they became friends. And she told him about Don. That's what Adnan said, actually, like on the phone call with Sarah. He was like, she told me about Don. Like, we both helped her with her car at the same time. Like, she let me know about this nigga.
And they were shady for keeping in this, like, the call was about to end. And
Sarah had another white woman moment, because she was like, I always forget where he is. I'm like, how, bitch? How?
Right, girl, like, the cell phone, the call quality ain't clear, honey.
How do you forget?
Right. Lady. So, like, I'm also wondering how much did she put on his books? Like, you better have put, like, G's, racks.
They better have paid this nigga for his time for this shit.
Listen, Doritos all day, day.
Because you heard how he said, he's like, you want me to call you back? Because you already know that shit. She's like, yeah,
he probably had access to have a call collector and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So this is why I think Don did it. I think Don was very intimidated by Adnan. Like a lot of people of Don's ilk, that they are of attractive young brown people. And I felt that, you know, things a little didn't go his way. White Don, I feel like he, you know, might have done what he had to do.
Had a Ben Savage moment. Fred Savage.
And the reason why I say all this is because he was white.
Yeah.
And everybody skirted around him.
Yeah.
And his alibi was his mama, who said he was at work.
We never trust them.
Who was also the manager of Settlers Crafters. So of course you're gonna have a story about him. So no.
We never trust the white mothers.
Political climate, again, I'm telling you, if you have in this county that's primarily black and you have a white suspect who's clearly a suspect, you're gonna do everything that you can to make sure this narrative fits.
No, it's true.
You know? It's
true. Especially when you don't have no fucking case and no fucking evidence. Because on top of that, with them using Hae's diary as evidence, she never once in the diary described him as scary or mean or intimidating. She's actually the one who said that Adnan and Don were the ones who helped her out simultaneously with her car when she got in a little car accident. So that was super flimsy of them, because she never described it as, you know, and she was pretty damn descriptive in that diary. And she never once painted this picture that Adnan was doing too much or anything like that. It was all kind of like an internal struggle between how she felt or like the outside circumstances of his family or what have you. So basically, Sarah comes to the conclusion that the state's case is flimsy. She don't buy it.
Bogus.
And we don't buy it. And it doesn't hold up. But for whatever reason, it held up.
It did. So her last entry, Hae's last entry in her diary was about Dawn. And how much she loved him and how much she, you know, was really happy to find somebody in white Dawn.
Yeah.
And because of all this, Jay said to the police that Adnan's plan was to get into her car and kill her.
And I know how that went down. I know they were like, so didn't he plot to get in her car? Because they know that he asked a couple people saw that he asked for a ride. So they probably, didn't he plot to get her ask for a ride so that he could kill her? That's exactly how that went down. You know it.
They led the question.
Absolutely.
They led the question.
Absolutely.
Now, everybody around Hae that day, they were like, Hae ran errands, but no one saw Adnan in the car with her. Like, she didn't give him a ride. And Adnan was like, I would never ask her for a ride because she would always say no because she had an obligation to pick up her little cousin.
Yes.
From daycare or whatever.
What didn't look good, okay, so we'll get to it in a second. So they had a couple classes together, right? Hating ass Aisha actually wasn't hating in this particular instance. She was like, I saw them talking after class, but I didn't see him leave with her or go get in her car or anything like that. They talked to a bitch named Debbie, and she said, Hae said she was gonna go see Dawn at the mall. And so that was her plan after school. Adnan said, oh, she always picks up her little cousin. So I would never ask her for a ride anyway because everybody knows the answer is going to be no. And then Black Queen Inez Butler Hendricks, who runs the snack counter. You already know that she is probably a woman who is not with the shits, but she's super nice to the kids, but don't cross her wrong. Inez knows what everybody wants, and Hae love to come get hot fries and apple juice. And Inez can tell you probably what every single student in that school eats from her snack counter. But Inez said...
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Inez said that Hae came racing in because Hae was also the manager for the wrestling team or one of those. So she came racing in to get her usual because she was running late. Her car was running. She was talking about don't let the bus leave her and whatever else. She never saw anybody in Hae's car.
Exactly. However, there's a problem.
Yes.
And it's one of those things like, is it Adnan that's a problem or is it the police that's the problem? And again, this goes back to my theory about police corruption in this case. Because we even have seen it in hell, the O.J. Simpson trial, this whole idea of planting evidence and, you know, all those things that we have seen in popular murder cases.
Yep.
And Adnan had told one police officer that he had asked, you know, for a ride from Hae Min, and that she did give him one. And that he was supposed to get a ride from Hae.
Yeah.
But she couldn't. So he didn't get in the car.
Excuse me. Yes.
However, a couple of weeks later, another detective interviewed Adnan, and Adnan said that I didn't get in the car with her. I didn't even ask her for a ride. So whatever that he said to the other cop was erroneous. So it was like, so which story is true? Were you supposed to get one and you didn't? Which means that you got mad and you went and did what you needed to do or whatever the state's accusing you of. Or the state fumbled and they're trying to scramble.
Yep.
And, you know,
and shake it up and make it look like his word is questionable.
Exactly. I want to research like the political time of 99 in Baltimore. Like, what was the DA giving? Like, did they need like convictions? Were they running for office too? Because you know they're good for that. DAs who are pushing for convictions have like political aspirations.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So
yes, yes. Mm-hmm. Is that when The Wire was out?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's the end of the episode.
Yes. So now Sarah's talking about the red flag because of the switch up, but we don't know if the switch up was misreport because of the cops and their corrupt ways, or if Adnan was the switch up because I don't know. We're going to get a little bit more into Undisclosed coming, you know, probably starting next week, and then a couple live watches of the documentary. So we got a lot of things coming around this case, you know what I'm saying? Nigga K-Nigs in the building, and we will see you all next time. Bye.